Hello and welcome to Cultivate to Thrive podcast. I am your host, Michelle Gunn. I am a self actualization and mindset coach. I am grounded in faith. I am here to share with you things I think will help inspire you, help grow your faith, and help you develop to be the person that God created to be. You can find me on my website, michellegunn.com. That's Michelle Gunn, one L, two N's, michellegunn.com. You can find me on my personal pages, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find me on and TikTok, and you can find me on my professional pages, Cultivate and Thrive, on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also find me on patheos.com, patheos.com. I have a column there called Graceful Awakening, and I would love to see you there. I am also now a contributing author to the book Divine Blueprint. Grab yourself a copy. There are 17 chapters from 17 different people who tell you how God has worked in their life. I'm sure you can find something to inspire you. During these episodes on Cultivate to Thrive podcast, sometimes it'll just be me and sometimes it'll be a special guest. But welcome, and thank you for joining. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Cultivate to Thrive podcast, emotional support and well being for professional moms. And do please put in the comments where you're joining from and who you are. I'd love to say hello. There are issues with StreamYard and LinkedIn comments, seeing them live. I do see Facebook and YouTube comments live, so that's interesting. But I do want you to know that I have covered this topic, at least in different avenues, many times before, but it is something that's very important for every human being. So, starting out in preparation today, I did pray for a scripture, and as you can see in the comments, it's Psalm 21, 1 through 8. Now, um, at least for Catholics, by your baptism, you're baptized priest, prophet, and king. So thanksgiving and insurances for the king definitely applies. And it applies to everyone who is a child of God. For the leader, a psalm of David. And remember, each one of you is a leader in some way in your life. And it's really not just how you choose to show up as a leader. Oftentimes we're a leader and we don't even know it. It's unintentional. Lord, the king finds joy in your power, in your victory, how greatly he rejoices. You have granted him his heart's desire. You did not refuse the prayer of his lips. For you welcomed him with godly blessings. You placed on his head a crown of pure gold. He asked life of you. You gave it to him, length of days forever. Great is his glory in your victory. Majesty and splendor you confer upon him. You make him the pattern of blessings forever. You gladden him with the joy of your presence. For the king trusts in the Lord, stands firm through the love of the Most High. So think about that. Spend some time today and think about that. Our Lord God rejoices in your love for him, how you pray for him, and how you show up for him. Welcome, Neil. Thank you. Yes. So self-care is important. Well-being is important for everyone, and God does offer many avenues. And we'll talk about some of those today, as well as some common things that we can do. Now, as far as professional moms, and like I said, this can really be pulled to any person in any aspect of their life. But there are common sources of guilt and inadequacy among professional moms, right? There's always, am I good enough? I can't do it all. Am I there for my kids, but I have to be there for my spouse and he wants to be first. And then my boss is so demanding and wants me to stay late and work extra and I can't get the promotion unless I give more to work. So there's the constant pull and oftentimes the person themselves, the mom, we got here, the mom forgets who she is and how to take care of herself. What happens when we don't take care of ourselves? We get tired, we get resentful, we get angry, we forget things. Our anger is misplaced, usually on the ones that we love, the ones that are closest to us. They usually receive the worst treatment. We just get behind, we feel overwhelmed. Sometimes depression will sink in because we feel we're not good enough. So it's the demands of work, the demands of family, what society expects of us can all cause great undue stress, which then leads to mental health issues, physical issues. Stress often will show itself through physical issues. I was in a position where I was dealing with a lot of stress at a place I thought I would actually retire at, and didn't happen, obviously, but I would get hives all over my body, and the only thing that caused it was stress. Once I started calming myself and really focusing on the positive and where I need to be, then that situation remedied itself. Sometimes I didn't even recognize the stress until it showed up physically. I didn't feel mentally overburdened. I didn't feel emotionally overburdened, but it showed up physically. Remember, our mind and body are so that it protects us, it wants us to survive. So it will give clues that we need to pay attention to when something's not right, when we need to make a change. So make sure you're paying attention to your body's cues. And every person is different and every person deals with stress and different levels of stress differently. So you need to pay attention to yourself and not be comparing yourself to others. And don't let other people make those decisions for you. They don't know you like you know you, or you should know you. If you're not recognizing the stress, if other people are pointing it out to you, if other people are telling you, then pay attention because it's time to take action and it's time for you to learn to recognize these signs. So, what are some strategies to help you manage these feelings? Positive self talk, always. In fact, I recommend to my clients and to everyone else that you start each day with positive self talk. Those who know me know that I facilitate a workshop every year for to choose your word of the year, or um, a few words for word of the year, something to help guide you. Have that posted where it can be. So I see mine every time I go into my bathroom. So at least twice a day, in the morning and at night before bed, always. Reminds me what my goals are this year and how I'm aligning myself. And if you need to, it's a great place to put your affirmations. An affirmation is something positive about you. And I recommend to have at least 3, especially in areas that you're struggling. Put them on your mirror. Um, Actually, Sharpie cleans off a mirror very well. You can use other things to write on your mirror. You can put it on a sticky note. If there's other times you see a lot, put it there. You can put it in your cell phone and have a reminder come up like a task. And say these affirmations out loud. And definitely, if you don't believe them or struggle with owning them in the beginning, make sure you are looking at yourself in the eye. So, in the mirror, in the cell phone, you can turn on that camera and talk to yourself and say your affirmations out loud. And you do it at least once a day. Well, yeah, I say at least twice a day. At least twice a day. 3 or more times is ideal, especially if you struggle with them. Out loud with conviction, saying, "I am strong," is not a conviction. I am strong. That's a conviction, right? You have to believe it because when you believe it, it's true. And if you need help with that, reach out. I'd be happy to help. Setting realistic expectations is also a great way to deal with stress. Now, that doesn't mean that you make goals that are so easy to accomplish, it's ridiculous and it doesn't challenge you. But it does mean is if you have something that you know will be difficult, break it down into smaller goals so that you can meet smaller um, wins that you can celebrate to get up to the big thing. Because you don't want to set yourself up for failure, but you do want to challenge yourself. It also means saying no when you can't take on anymore. There are some of us, and I have that innate thing. I'm a people pleaser. I've had to learn to say no, and it took me a long time to do that. And then you can choose who and what you say no to. Going back to aligning your life. Now, sometimes you're going to say yes just to help someone out because you know it's the right thing to do or you just want to do it. But if it's something that provides no value and is not aligned to what you're trying to accomplish, you can say no without guilt. Learn to set those boundaries. And again, if you need help with that, you can reach out to me, or there's a lot of other people, a lot of coaches. I recommend a coach to help with that very much, but you need to find someone who you mesh well with. And I've done posts and uh, content on that as well. But I can help guide you if you need help or provide some recommendations as well, because it's important to have someone that not only can understand you, can relate to you, but a coach is not someone who tells you what to do. They're going to help you find what works for you, help you find what works for you. And then again, like I said earlier, celebrating the small victories. When you have success, celebrate it. I did that this past week. I had a meeting that I was very, very nervous about. I had pivoted my word of the year into a new challenge for me, something that I wanted to do for a very long time. So I had embraced it and I started it. And then there was the review as being a new person doing it. I had a review and I was very, very nervous about that session. It went very well. Do I have room for improvement? Absolutely, and always will. But I had some confirmation of what I thought my innate talents were. And I feel I'm working in my purpose in this other role. And it was confirmation of that. So I got myself a small gift to celebrate. And of course, I shared it with people I love and who celebrate the goodness that is me. So that was a way I celebrated a small victory because, of course, I'm always forever growing. But when you celebrate those small victories, it helps you keep going and it helps you attack new challenges, really look at them, how to overcome them. So do make sure you're celebrating the small victories. Oftentimes we only celebrate big things. Celebrate the small things as well. Don't forget that if you are in a bad spot, to ask for get professional help. There's nothing wrong with that. I've said this over and over. We see this every time there's a mental health awareness month, right? And sometimes people have special things they share out. But asking for professional help is a sign of strength because it takes a lot to ask for it. It also shows that you know yourself. You know what you can do and you know what you need help with. Being humans, we are not created to live solo by ourselves with no help, no one to give us stuff and no one for us to provide for. And when I say provide, I'm not talking about monetary. Okay. So, different ways of professional help. Again, I've mentioned a coach. Counseling services can be very helpful for someone who is struggling, especially if you get to the point where you're struggling with depression. You need a professional. Look for someone. Or if you just need someone to talk to, not everyone has a confidant, someone they can trust. They don't have that relationship built up, or they don't feel comfortable because something is very personal. This is where a professional will play a good role in your life because you can talk freely without judgment, without fear of judgment. And you can also gain some insight of causes and some insight of how to react to them, how to set up a way to conquer what you're struggling with, and how to deal with them. Counseling offers a lot. But again, make sure that that's a fit for you and the counselor's a fit for you. And when we talk about counseling, there's different kinds, right? There's individual, one on one. There's family counseling if you're struggling in your family roles. Or maybe there's just a lot going on. Maybe the family has dealt with a lot. Family counseling will be good. And if there's one person particularly struggling, and it may be you in that family, it's good for them to have individual counseling along with the family counseling because we cannot be good together unless we're good alone. There's also online therapy options. I think those are becoming more popular. So you can look into that. If you have health benefits, you can look into what your health benefits offer and see what's a good fit. But never, ever be afraid to ask for professional help. I often talk about support networks. It's important to have a good support network for everyone, not just for someone who's struggling. This is something you want to build before you struggle, right? So these will give you support on specific areas. People have who have specific understanding of what you're going through. People who may have gone through, most likely have gone through it. We've all heard of AA, right? So it's Alcoholics Anonymous, where everyone in the room is an alcoholic. They've all struggled with it. So they're all very understanding of each other's failures because as humans, we fail. And we fail more than once. And that's okay. It's how you deal with the failure and how you move forward from the failure. And as well, support groups, you can find them in person, you can find them online, and there's faith based. Faith based support groups are good because you get fed in more than one way. You get supported in more than one way, and they align, your values align which makes it stronger. So, if you're looking for a support group or support network, you can start on your computer, your cell phone, in your search engine like Google. Start researching what kind of support you need and support groups in your area. And then you can find what options are good. Try them out. You never know. Sometimes what you think will work for you isn't necessarily what's going to work best. It may be something else. So don't be afraid to try something and have it not work out. That means you're getting closer to what does work out. Practicing self care is extremely important. Again, this is something I've talked about many times, and you probably hear a lot about. I think this day and age, we're more aware of self care, right? Self care doesn't mean that it's you and only you. It's not being selfish to other people's needs, but it's keeping yourself whole and healthy so that you can be there for other people. There's nothing selfish about that. So, self care can take many forms, right? Can be physical activities, exercise, yoga, walking, weightlifting, dancing, right? Any kind of physical exercise. And it's good for you and your health as well, especially if you get that heart rate up. It helps keeps your body healthy. It pumps the oxygen which feeds your mind. So it keeps your mind healthy. So that's like a whole body self-care. Mental activities, right? There you hear about people being drained mentally, they have mental work, right? We have physical laborers, we have laborers who do more intellectual work, and then we do have, excuse me, the ones that do some of everything. So we do need to also take care of our brain. So reading helps. Reading helps because it can be relaxing. It can take you away to a different world and experiences. It can educate you. It depends on what feeds you. So again, knowing self helps you to choose what activities right for you and will feed you. Then there's prayer and meditation to help relax you and keep you calm. And don't forget about mental fitness exercises. Learning to focus your mental muscles so that you can use them and direct them where they need to go, where they should be, and to squash that negative self talk. Because we have a lot of that. People struggle with self talk, negative self talk. Oftentimes, our bigger hurdles come from within. Creative activities like hobbies, arts, crafts, those can often just relax you, take your mind off of things, and often offer you an opportunity to get away. When we're taking these breaks, when we're doing something and we're highly focused, it can be very draining. And sometimes we get stuck. But when we walk away from that and do something we enjoy, sometimes when we least expect it, the answer just pops into our head. The solution just pops into our head. I love when that happens. My article I'm writing for this week for Pathos, I started it yesterday. I got pretty far. And then I'm like, I need a break. Okay, so I walked away. I worked on it a little bit this morning, and I'm going to come back to it. For me, when I'm writing, I get in a flow, and it generally turns out really good. If I'm not in the flow, it's a struggle, and I believe people can see I struggle to write it. So it's not something I want to force. So knowing when you are at your best mentally and physically helps you to really schedule when you do certain activities to be their best. So that's another way of practicing self care, right? Scheduling your day so that the best of you is there. Now, sometimes we don't have choices and we have to do things when we have to do things. So we need to figure out how do we get ourselves in our best place to do that or make the best of the situation. Your faith definitely plays a role in your emotional well-being, right? Like the scripture I read this morning, it gives us a foundation. It brings us back to know we are loved and we are strong. Find your strength in your faith through God. You can incorporate your faith into your daily routines by prayer and meditation. You can do it throughout the day. You can do it in the morning. You can do it in the evening. You can do it both. You can do it for clarity. Reading religious texts, whether it's the Bible or another religious book, or there's just ton of religious books out there. Like my own Divine Blueprint is a spiritual book. So you can read religious texts for knowledge, for calm, for strength, and for fun enjoyment. Attending faith-based events or services are another way to boost your self-care in a faith capacity. You think about it, you're around people with like-minded values, like-minded beliefs. You can connect to these people, you can build up your network with these people, build up trusting relationships, or just get spiritually fed as well. You can seek support from your faith communities. Like I talked about earlier, looking for those support networks. You can find one in your faith community. A lot of faith communities have small groups for certain situations, especially for moms. There's ones for fathers, there's for working people. There's just a variety. And if you feel called to one that's not there, start it. Maybe God's calling you to do that. He wants you to use your experiences to help other people. Think about that. So today I shared with you, right, some stressors, some ways to deal with the stressors, how to deal with guilt and inadequacy, right? We often struggle with that. We have to make sure we engage in that positive self talk and be realistic of what's expected of us, maybe change what people's expectations are. Hello, Reagan. Hope you're having a great day. Remember to access professional help when you need it. Building those networks, practicing your self care, and incorporating your faith solutions. If you have anything else to add, I'd love to see it in the comments and share. Reach out. Reagan, there is no shame, right? If someone comes and it's over, you just use hashtag replay. This content is here to help and it stays for people when it's convenient for them. That's one of the things that's really nice about having these virtual events is that you can reach people when it's convenient for them. Because God did say to meet people where they are, right? We're not all in the same place at every time. So remember that self care is important and feel free to reach out if you need some guidance. I'd be happy to help. Have a blessed day. And remember, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cultivate and Thrive. Thank you.